Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I'm going to do something I don't do very often, and that's talk about Fluff. And I really don't talk about Fluff very much. I had no clue what the heck Fluff was when I started gaming again. I tend to talk about crunchy stuff, you know, how the games work, that sort of thing. Or, you know, little tweaks and whatnot. And there's a few reasons for that, but I'm not going to get into them at this video because I want to keep it kind of short. But I'm going to talk about like a preference of mine. I'm not a really big fan of playing in games, or running, certainly not running games, but playing in games based on real life history or movies or books or stories that we all kind of know. So I'm not going to pick on any games that I don't mean to. And so I'm not saying these games are bad, but games that involve things like, say, like Star Wars or Firefly, or The Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter. I guess there's got to be a game somewhere that does that, or even things like, say, like World War II, Nazi Germany, all that kind of stuff. They're not my favorite thing to play, and I'm really not a fan of playing those at all. And there's a basic reason why. Couple variations on the same reason. It's kind of like playing in a video game for me. And you remember those video games, when video games started to get kind of interesting, where all of a sudden you'd get to the edge of the map and everything would turn gray, and no matter what you did, your character couldn't go over there. So you found the boundary of the world. And to me, in a game like that, you find the boundary of the world. Like Star Wars, Luke Skywalker blows up the Death Star. That's what happens. You don't. And I understand people would say, well, we're going to do something else off in this other area. And to me, and this is just for me, if I don't have the opportunity to like somehow get in a position where like we make a raid against the Death Star, and maybe that's the one that blows it up, then there's a part of the game I run to that gray area. Not that might be my goal, but you understand what I mean. There's things that happen in real life in World War II, and there's things that happen in pretend in all these stories that are going to happen. That's the way the story is supposed to happen. So I don't like that. And you could say, okay, well, you're going to play in an alternate reality. Well, it depends on the alternate reality. If we're talking about a thing where now we're playing in a World War II game, and maybe this is before Hitler invades Poland, or later on before D-Day, or maybe we're out to assassinate Hitler. The thing is, I know, and the other players know, if we studied history, or if we've read a book, if we're doing a fantasy game where let's say different kind of thing, maybe we do have a chance to blow up the Death Star. We know the way things are really supposed to go. We know what's going to happen if we don't do this. So we've all of a sudden become omniscient. And we're not really sure what's going to happen if we act, but we certainly know what's going to happen if we don't act. And that just kind of, for me, it's not fun. There's something about that really kind of irks me. And, an alternate reality of a fictional place, that's probably one of the most convoluted things I've ever heard of. Yeah, well, that's just me, and I'm just kind of poking fun at it. Even probably the only thing that might be interesting is like say we're running in an alternate reality where like maybe like the Germans won the war. Then that might be interesting because there's all books and stuff like that. Like what will the world be like then? Then it's okay because that's all uncharted territory. We're not sure what the heck happens because now we're making the whole darn thing up. So that's just my personal preference. Doesn't mean if you like those games, doesn't mean that's bad. It's just those never grab me, and that's why I don't like running into the edge of the map and not being able to go farther. I like to have my options go everywhere, and I don't want to be competing against a story that's going to happen anyway.